There's such a disconnect between the understanding of intimacy. Most people think intimacy has to do with affection, sex, and stuff like
right?
that.
Physical
but
touch.
Intimacy is more so being vulnerable, having a relationship where you can call on somebody and just being raw.
Like touching on. You're listening to On the Go Voice Podcast, the best generational podcast you'll ever tune into. Listen to the voices of this generation where we seek to identify values, stimulate discussions, and vocalize the community. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Charles, your host for On the Go Voice Podcast. This is IPC's series. We're going to talk about relationships, and I'm very glad to have guest that I had back in season 1 to come join me on this aspect. Mentioned that he wanted to talk about what that brotherhood means, and at first, I had to kind of think about that because on my end, I was kind of curious, like what his thought process was behind that. And even for me, I wasn't sure exactly what it was, but then I started to think about it. There were a few components that's missing nowadays when we think of what brotherhood might mean. So they're here to kind of discuss with that. For me, I talk about it all the time. I say, bro, hey, bro, welcome in. Hey, how's it going, brother? It's a way to show a sign of respect, a way to be mutual, or just a way to, hey, acknowledge the other person. But in a lot of contexts that me and Terrell and the other guest is Jerry have agreed is that the brother is, I would say it's not utilized enough where we actually take it to heart or actually consider it, right? So with that being said, what do you guys see right now when it comes down to the brotherhood relationship within our generation?
Well, what I would say is that there's a lack of intimacy in the sense of really being there for one another,
right?
Really having each other's back.
For sure.
I feel like people throw the word around, just like they throw the word around love.
Oh yeah, sure.
And they throw the word around brother,
right? And
they use it for just somebody that's their homie, but at the same time, they're not willing to get deep, learn anything really about them, not ask questions, and if they need something, they're either not willing to even go to their brother, or even their brother is not willing to be there for them.
Right. What about you, Jerry?
Yeah, I think that's a really good, that was a really good take that Terrell just mentioned. I think that it's something that we'll never be able to completely grab hold of as far as guys, because we use it so it's a cultural norm for us to say brother,
of course, especially in the US.
I do agree with Terry a lot, especially. I
was gonna ask, can I call you Terry too?
You can.
No, I can't call you Terry. God damn.
I said Terrell. Let's say Terrell.
Okay,
so as far as what Terrell was saying right now, I totally agree, because it's something that we'll never be able to just grab a hold of completely, some of us, as far as the term brother. But there has to be, or at least there should be, some type of understanding that it's not just a word that is said freely, but it's also something that is truly meant.
Right.
When you say when you're someone's brother, I think there's more depth to it. Someone just said the word love and brother alike. They're both access words. When you come to think about it, when I consider you my brother, there's another access of a deeper access to a person's heart. The same way you say you love a girl or you love somebody, there's a deeper level of access now, especially when they accept the fact that you're saying that you love them. There's a deeper level of access that they're giving you into their lives. You know what I mean? So you open yourself up to that intimate place, per se. You know what I mean?
So you're diving deep tonight, Jerry. I see you.
Why not? I feel
right. I just want to interrupt real quick for anybody. This is not a way for us to say that people who are saying it in the context like, hey, brotherhood or whatever, or hey, brother is wrong.
Right.
It's just a way for us to articulate and actually dive deep. And I totally agree with you that right now you mentioning that, us saying that, hey, brother, it's inviting them as a way of, hey, look, I seek respect from you as well. I seek a sense of openness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a part of one. It's a part of our culture. You know, it's a part of our culture. If I call you bro, it's one of those things. It's like saying what's up. You know what I mean? We don't realize how often we say it, or even people nowadays that say like. You know what I mean?
True.
So we describe things and we'll say like, and we don't realize we're saying it. Same thing with brother. You know, but nevertheless, I believe that there is groups of people or people out there that take the word brother in a whole nother way, and in a deeper level. And you know, I think that's what the discussion is about, to really dive in and sort of just making that word
right to elaborate on it, expand on it. And also, Terrell, before this podcast, we've been talking about it, is the fact that there's the brotherhood itself, like the type of connection we allow and invite is missing components. So then it's kind of a disconnect in a way.
It is.
Right, Terrell?
It is. I feel like if you think about, this is crazy, but if you think about gangs, they got it right. Like, it's sad to say, but they got it right. Like, it's right or die. Like, if you leave in this relationship, we gonna jump you out or kill you, kind of thing.
Shit.
Like, or they're just really loyal. And if you know, if the other person in the gang needs something, they're gonna be there for you, blood, sweat, tears.
God damn.
But friendships nowadays, we don't have friendships like that.
That's
everything true. There's no unconditional friendships. There's always conditions on everything.
Yeah.
So if you do this or you say this, I'm not cool with you no more.
Can we talk about the unconditional part? Like, I think people are afraid to touch deeper into the other parts of their life, where you can hold them accountable, or even like seek what might actually be going on in their life, and just say, hey, is everything cool? You know, like, hey bro, you cool? Like, yeah, you know. And but then they know that there's something that's going on in their life, and they're missing that sense of support, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been there a time or two, and how do I say it? You can't blame somebody for not being there for you if you don't open up. But at the same time, if that's your brother, they should be checking on you.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying every day, but every once in a while, just to see how you're doing. And even if they know that you're doing bad, and it's the follow-up that comes along with it as well. And a lot of times people don't do that. If they see that you're looking happy now, then they're just automatically going to think like, oh, you're good. But nowadays, with how society is and social media, like, you portray whatever you want to be on social media, and that's how people treat life.
It's kind of like we use social media to think that we're cool with people, and then we'll say bro, but like when shit hits the fan, most of the time 75% more, or maybe more, won't actually be there for you,
but right? I think that, like, it's saying bro and saying brother, although it's the same thing, they're two different meanings. Like, I can call somebody my bro, but it's a slang word.
Okay, it's just a way to.
But if I call somebody my brother, it's a whole different meaning. And then a lot of times I think that people use the word brother or friends, love, like I said, so loosely that it really doesn't mean anything to them. So I like have to break it down when people are like, oh, this is my friend. And I'm like, how is that your friend? Do you talk to them? Like, do you have their phone number? No. Do you ever talk to them? No. Like, you just know each other from social media. So how is that your friend? Like, and I feel like people just use the word so loosely because they don't really know. They're not educating themselves on to use better words. Like, that's just your acquaintance, your social acquaintance.
Like, I don't think it's their fault too. Like, I mean, I tend to have done that in the past as well, and it's something that we as a generation don't really like take the time to actually acknowledge. Right.
Without realizing it, again, we adopted words that we don't even realize the depth to. Exactly. If that makes sense. Exactly. You know, just to chime in on what Terrell was saying as well, you know, about and then also what you were saying as well, Charles, about the unconditional part. I mean, you really think about it. You said when things hit the fan, you know what I mean? Your brothers are no longer there, but think about that word, unconditional, without condition. So the whole follow-up part that Terrell was talking about.
So that's what that means, huh? Yeah. Never thought about that.
Yeah, so it's without condition. So if you talk about what you know, as far as the follow-up's concerned, being, you know, there to follow up to make sure, even if they're doing wrong, that you're still there. Right. Yeah, I mean, and that's what unconditional, I would say, love for a person. Not only that, you know, in terms of a brother, you know, and a good friend. that's what a good friend, a good brother would do.
Mm-hmm.
Because reality is this: once you're saying brother or you're my brother, it's a whole nother thing. You're saying you're my family,
Right.
you know. And true family won't abandon family.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whether you're going through hell, or you're going through the hardest of times, or you're just making the most poorest of choices, the whole
Right.
follow-up part of that, and carrying an unconditional heart towards your brother, you're gonna realize you're gonna have the understanding. Hey, you know what? Even though you're not making the most greatest choices, or even though you're going through some really rough times, I'm still gonna be there with you,
Exactly.
no matter what. And that's what a real, if we're not gonna say brother, that's what a real boy will do.
Yeah,
If you're my
for
boy,
sure.
I'm gonna do that with
Exactly.
you. You know what I mean?
Be on your side, and
Exactly.
I like what you mentioned, that you're gonna be there with them.
Exactly.
You know, most of the time we want when we try to support people, or at least I see myself sometimes doing this, and I realize, hold on a minute, I'm not actually being empathetic. I'm just showing a sign of sympathy by saying, oh, what's your problem? Oh my gosh, okay, have you ever thought about this? And like try to shift them right away, but like what's missing in that support when it comes down to, especially within men, is actually being there. And I think that's a whole part, especially here in America, where we're afraid to show emotions.
I think we're just afraid. I think we're so quick to move on to the next person.
That's true.
We live in a fast-paced world,
That's
and
true.
sometimes when we're not getting the results we want, even off of friendships,
Yeah, absolutely.
you're gone.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and then we just dismiss them, and like,
Exactly.
it just becomes a ghost in a way,
Yeah, and you think about it. I mean, the people. Let's really think about this. The people that you remember the most aren't really necessarily always the people that give you the greatest words. They're the people that are there the longest, and they just get with you and go through it with you. Through the hardest of times.
Exactly. That's exactly. And by the way, we haven't actually introduced you. I mean, I know Terrell has been here since season 1. If anybody has watched, but just a little background. What are you guys doing right now?
Right now, so I actually lead a young adult group for our church,
Nice.
Church that I attend to. So it's a young adult group from the ages of 18 to 35 years old.
Oh, okay.
My church is called City View
That's
Worship.
pretty cool.
So we have a team, and we talk about brotherhood, and talking about brotherhood and just family. That's what we try to create. We try to create a community that whether it's faith-based or people of not of faith.
Nice.
You're accepted. But that's what I do. And then I'm a little bit of an athlete, but that's
Okay.
pretty much it.
Okay. All right. So Jerry, how'd you get involved with the organization that you're involved in right now?
Yeah. So well, I mean, I can say at least my involvement started about 5 years ago when I moved here to Oxnard.
All right, guys, we're back. So technical difficulties, me being the one-man team over here, but it's my duty to make sure that the guests are fulfilled and get the most quality. But yeah, so how did you get involved with the organization that you're with?
Yeah, so I moved to Oxnard about 5 years ago, and I was involved in the local church there. I actually had moved from Palmdale, and I was actually a full-time staff over there at a church in Palmdale, and I moved here. And just recently, about 2 years ago, being the young adult group that we lead now, we had started a young adult group. Initially, it was with my friend who had passed away from leukemia, and I ended up
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, it's a sad thing, but honestly, definitely a good guy. And so I ended up taking over the group, went through some transition, and that's the way I sort of got involved, man. But I've always loved connecting with people, and I feel like especially people our age, millennials, our generation,
For sure.
that's something that we long for. I think all people long for it, but
Yeah,
I think
to
that's
connect, right?
Yeah, to connect, exactly.
Why do you think I had this podcast, right?
Yeah. Why are we talking about brotherhood?
Exactly, right? And that's why you're very articulate, and also you seem to know a lot about people as well. What kind of activities do you guys do, or like when you guys are building people together?
Yeah, so we do studies. We actually are gonna have a study this Thursday, but what we call them is tribe nights. Tribe is your family in another sense. Your tribe, it's your crew. So we say tribe nights because the emphasis on it is connection, as we're talking about. It's connection.
Nice.
So as much as we do studying, there's more connection to it, more talking, more relating. So it's a real safe place. We try our best to make a real safe place. Safe meaning a place where people can be vulnerable.
Place. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, a place that
like
people can be vulnerable and people could be open or not so open,
Right.
but still feel okay in being around a group of people that they feel comfortable with.
And you guys are in Oxnard?
In Oxnard, yeah.
Okay.
In
Interesting.
Oxnard,
Okay.
yeah.
Where can they find you?
Yeah, they can find right now our first meeting, which is this Thursday. We're going to be in Oxnard. The address is 124 Featherstone Street, or you can always DM me at It's Okay Jerry. That's ITS OK Jerry Jerry. Yeah, I know, I almost went blank for a second. When you don't want to spell Gary. So,
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
That's cool. So I just want to let you know, in case anybody might be looking for that
Yeah,
space.
definitely. Hit me up.
Not a lot of organizations or group of people who are willing to. Who started that by anyways? Like, who started the organization?
Oh, I was gonna say Jesus started church.
Well, I mean, like as a full, because like church, yeah, they allow that, but not
Right.
often. They're not as connected to people. Like, hey, we're gonna do this outside to actually connect people together.
So our founding pastor, who still leads our church, he really has a big heart for the young adult group or for the millennial group, and that's. I mean, I can't say that we're the future. I think we're now, and I think it's just our opportunity to take hold of.
I like that.
Whatever comes for the future. We shape the future.
Absolutely.
We shape the future. So the future is what comes after us, but right now is the perfect opportunity to take our place.
I love it. Yeah, we're taking advantage of that right now too. What about you, Terrell? Since last time we had you in the podcast, what you been up to?
So last time we were on the I was on the podcast. I was doing this magazine that I'm no longer doing.
Okay.
But there was a reason behind it. So I started the magazine Glitterati, like I spoke about before, and I wanted to be able to showcase these artists and whatnot.
Right.
So as I was doing that, got my camera people together. I started working with Sky, who I had mentioned last time, and I literally just fell into just working with her. Kind of like exclusively. Granted, I still do work with other artists, but it sparked something in me to do more of the creative directing thing.
Nice.
So more of the behind the scenes. So if you go to her page, SkyTunes, that's SKYETUNES.
Okay.
Majority of everything that you see on the page is because I basically put it together. Her and I worked together to be able to create this vision that you guys are
that we are seeing right now.
And then check out her new single, Mad, coming out soon. No teaching assist, but shameless plug.
All right, a little bit of promotion.
And then still doing the life coach thing. I've been creating behind the scenes before I really put myself out there in regards to the life coach. I just created I have 2 quizzes, I guess you could say, that it's really to show people what they're missing in their lives.
Okay. And
part of it is to how they can go and achieve these things.
Right.
So I had Jerry to take one of them right before we got in
so
here.
Good.
What did you get out of it, or what was the questions, by the way? If you don't mind sharing.
So basically, the one that he took, it's 90 questions, and it's basically everything that has to do with life. Whether it's relationships, health and care, what else on there? Money management.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's all these things. There's 90 questions. There's 10 questions for each category. So you're gonna mark off like, okay, I'm doing this. So then you'll find out all these things that I'm not doing, I should be doing, because if I'm doing all these things and I get the score of 90, that means that I'm living my most fulfilled life.
Oh, okay.
If you get on each section, if you get lower than 5, then that means that, or 5 or lower, that means that you're not fulfilled in that area.
Okay. So,
and you need to work on that.
So in the aspect of fulfillment, are we talking about a spiritual fulfillment, or like a sense of
fulfillment in life? I feel like a lot of people aren't 100% happy. I had asked one of my coworkers the other day, because I have somebody that also works with us that's going back and forth in their relationship, and I'm like, I know all this. Like, how can somebody, and I think I asked you this the other day, how can somebody be happy in a place where they're experiencing nothing but pain?
That's a good question.
So then I had them take the test, and I realized, like, okay, well, clearly this is why you're not happy with yourself, because you're not being fulfilled with everything else. So you're willing to accept this because you're accepting everything else in your life.
So it's more like I would say the identifying emotional aspects in
Exactly.
their life.
It's
right?
your emotional.
Interesting.
Yeah, your emotional
Alright.
IQ.
What's your website first? So I'm gonna put it down.
Journey to Freedom. That's
Journey to Freedom. Okay, that's your blog too, right?
Yeah, everything on the
Nice.
Journey to Freedom.
Cool.
And the reason the name of Journey to Freedom, because everybody wants to be free in the
Of
sense
course.
of being
Love it.
able to, do whatever they want, whenever they want, and be happy.
Yeah, and then speaking of which, when it comes down to the emotional aspects, we're gonna go back into the brotherhood
Yes,
part.
of course.
Yeah, right. So we mentioned a while back, one of the things that's missing with the men here nowadays, especially in America, especially millennials, the vulnerability aspect. I wanted to kind of like dive in you guys' thoughts about you guys have a pretty close relationship. I actually read your blog and I see how intimate you guys are in the sense of like where we're gonna describe what that might mean, because for some people who might interpret that in a wrong way. I had a friend
not like that, y'all.
I had a friend who
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
yeah, it's true. I had a friend who I used that word and I think she misinterpreted it to the point where I'm just like, it's not physical intimate.
Yeah, intimacy. Like I feel like people.
Well, let's start with that actually.
I feel like there's such a what's the word I want to use?
Disconnect, maybe.
Disconnect. That's not the word I want to use though.
Okay,
but anyways, we can go with that. There's such a disconnect between the understanding of intimacy. Most people think intimacy has to do with affection, sex, and stuff like that.
Physical.
But
touch.
Intimacy is more so being vulnerable, having a relationship where you can call on somebody and just being raw.
Like touching on that layer, right?
Exactly.
Like beyond the outer layer.
Exactly. So it's basically like touching on something but not physically.
Exactly.
Like, you get the inner being of somebody.
And it might be uncomfortable, but that's unconditional love we're talking about.
And once you're really intimate with somebody in relation, it's not going to be uncomfortable.
True.
Because you're going to trust them and you're going to know. So
it's going to feel more like what Jerry's doing for the folks in the organization is the space to feel free and open about it,
Yeah. And I think there's wisdom in choosing who you're per se intimate with. Because intimacy doesn't start without vulnerability.
That's true.
And vulnerability starts with a choice. You have to choose to be vulnerable. And in order to be when you become vulnerable, the connection between you and that person or your brother or your sister, whoever it is, becomes intimate, and that in itself, vulnerability is definitely it's something that people don't always like to be. Why? Because we live in a social media world,
surface level world.
world.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, I don't know, a lot of people, we think, what goes through our minds, like, I don't know if I can really trust you with this information.
Exactly.
Because if I give this to you, you might hurt me. Oh. But that's why I say
that's where
it comes with wisdom. It comes with wisdom, and it comes with understanding and really evaluating the character of the person. The character of the person, is the person really there for you?
Right.
Engaging those things. And then ultimately the choice is still a risk.
I think, not to cut you off, but I think that a lot of times the reason why people aren't that vulnerable is because of the past.
Yep.
I was gonna say the same thing. Projection.
Exactly. They've been hurt so many times. So therefore, even though you are a trustworthy person, they got their guard up because they trusted the last two people.
And they got hurt. And it's understandable. However, I think as adults, as someone who's growing or someone who's committed to growing and living their best life, you have to be able to take responsibility for your own emotions and learn from it so that you can grow from it,
So good. I totally agree with that. We just were talking about earlier today, I think it was, or yesterday. A lot of times the hurts we go through or the hurts that we experience are sometimes the catalyst to being able to help people. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like, it is a risk, and you do get hurt in relationship.
Exactly.
Especially when the factor is like, even, in love, the people you love the most sometimes are the people that hurt you the deepest. But what you just said right there was so key. It's taking responsibility for our emotions, because we can take that emotion and use it as leverage to be able to help people
Exactly.
that are suffering from the same exact
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So yeah, that
Well,
I totally
most
agree.
people become resentful about that emotion and say, hey,
Oh, yeah.
because you did this, everybody else is exactly the same way. And now you have a hate towards the world. You have an attachment. And that's where the trauma comes in, I think, when it comes down to it.
yeah.
And they'll never really truly heal if they've never faced that trauma. And I think
Keyword,
that's a trigger. I know, Terrell, you probably go through that with people, right? To understand the traumas and help them heal process. Same
I
thing with
try-
Jerry, I bet, right?
Yeah.
I try my hardest to understand people, and I always say that all relationships are pretty much the same, minus the sexual type thing.
Exactly.
But I do find that guys are willing to open up more so to girls,
To women.
and women are more willing to open up to girls. So there's got to be something said about us guys that we're not, there's something in
true.
us, and I feel like it's like a curse in a sense, like it's a generational curse that we go through, that we're taught that if you do this or if you cry you're not a man,
right?
Or if you're taught that as a baby or a kid,
and tying it back to what the masculinity and the male aspect world, the brotherhood, which is the whole podcast is about. That I think that's what's missing.
Yep.
That whole aspect to be so selective with who we be open to, to the point now we're like facing other brothers and we're scared to, hey, help me out with this thing, like ask for support, because we might feel stupid, especially when it comes down to, we can ask about like business stuff, right? Or career decisions, but not when it comes down to I'm having relationship issues or I'm having mental health problems, like that's not something we talk about. And I noticed that within our generation.
Yeah, I think it's, one of my thoughts of it, towards that is because there's such a, I think it's because of the way we've described what it means to be a man. You know what I mean? Society, that is.
Social media,
the
world.
Because when you talk to someone, it's not always the first conversation that you have with a brother or another guy. Hey man, my heart's broken. Hey man, I'm so messed up right now.
Because you might sound needy or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
you might sound needy, or people might look at you.
Oh, you look at
them and say, "Hey, dude, like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you sharing this? Like, that's not what guys do." But nevertheless, it's really what we should be talking about. You know what I mean?
And the funny thing about it is, like, when women get close together, that's what they bond over.
That's true.
Like, that's what connects them.
I've actually had the privilege to connect with some even mentors who have given me that space to say it's okay to kind of open up, and to the point where maybe a little extreme. Funny thing is, I'm actually gonna have them next week for a podcast. So my old guests, my old mentors and partners, and then we're gonna talk about like feedback and accountability. But they give me that privilege to kind of like open up and, hey, fuck, like it's okay to like be raw with your emotions as a man, so that you can move forward and powerfully move forward and learn and grow from, so you can teach others
in a healthy way.
Exactly.
Exactly. Studies show, this is statistics show, guys are actually more sensitive than women are.
Oh, interesting.
So those are studies, like it's
interesting.
I don't want to use the word fact, but it's proven that guys are more sensitive even as young as babies than women are.
No, I don't know anything about that, but
I don't either.
I've never studied it, but I can see where it comes down to. I mean, especially with all the imaginary boundaries we've created as men, right? We've kind of like stopped doing that, so now we're my mentors have mentioned to me, it's like emotional constipation.
Wow,
that's a good one.
It's like you're holding in all this like shit, and now when when your life's a mess, you can see why it stinks like shit. Because you have all this shit within you.
It's a pretty crazy analogy, but it's so real. That's a pretty real analogy. I've never heard it that way, but it's so true.
I'm use that.
It's really, really true.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, right? Emotional constipation. Not. That's why a lot of people are full of shit.
Dude, that's so good that you have mentors and you have people that you can be vulnerable with, because I feel like it comes with wisdom. I feel like it comes with wisdom. You can't just share everything with everyone. You know what I mean?
That's true.
But if you choose the right people, or you get a trustworthy, at least 3 group of good friends or mentors, like you said, around you, you create a safe environment for you to be able to open up, and it helps you.
Absolutely.
I mean, it helps anybody.
Oh, for sure. Because then, I mean, when you said being selective with where you're choosing, it depends on how you're using the context too. Like if you're asking for support, like what do I do with this emotion or that I'm feeling, or how do I move forward from it? Then yeah, maybe it's be selective. But like from the context of like supporting others, that's when you said being accountable and using it to your, being responsible for it. Now you're using it to support somebody so that you can relate and also empower and also be there with them. Know that, hey man, like I know exactly what you've been through. So that's pretty cool.
I noticed. So RIP to Kobe Bryant. But when all that stuff happened, when he passed away, I noticed that somebody that I follow on Instagram said like, "Oh dang, that was the brother that I never had, like the big brother."
Right.
And it just made me think like, you don't even know Kobe. Like you never talked to him, you never met him, and that's your big brother. Like that's sad that there's nobody else in your life that
interesting.
That that you were able to open up with, or that you felt that connection.
Right. But that's interesting though, the impact that Kobe's legacy.
Yeah. I mean, not
able
discrediting that at all.
But I see what you're saying. They don't have that in a sense.
There was no. You just seen something on TV and you connected with it, which is an amazing thing. That's the power that he had. But at the same time, if that's your big brother, then that's sad that you didn't have anybody in your life growing up at any point that you were connected to
be able to share that.
Like hearing what you just said right now, I think too in a different light, it's not just the sadness of knowing that that's like the only big brother you had. But I think if you flip it in a different way, that's a calling card to show how much of a need there is from guys that are looking for people to actually connect with in a deeper way. Because Kobe did a work on all of us with his death.
For sure.
And not only that, he's played such a pivotal role in certain people's lives at certain moments of people's lives where it left an impression that really impacted someone. You know what I mean? So I think like what Terrell's come from in a different light, it's also it also shows a calling card. It's like, yo, like I had to depend on somebody that I didn't even know, which was a great figure and an awesome role model, because I didn't have anybody around.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think that in itself shows, man, there's a big need.
Big disconnect.
Yeah, there's a big disconnect from the actual physical.
Exactly. From their actual associations.
Exactly.
To
the people
who they consider close. Yeah. And with that being said, for especially, I think if women are listening to this podcast, it might give them a clear sense of why they probably go to them for emotional advice, and also like for support, or maybe why they aren't as open, because like I think
even
this
in
creates
relationships with women.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like the reason that you're going through this stuff could be because of the lack of emotion that they're showing with you. Could be because of the lack of emotion that they were willing to be able to show growing up, if that makes sense. So because they weren't able to show emotion, they don't know how. So therefore, when you're in this relationship with this guy and you're not getting the fulfillment that you need from him, it's because he doesn't know how.
Exactly.
No one showed him how.
And I tell it to my best friend all the time. Like, I asked her like, how's his family like? She mentions he's not as open all the time and stuff like that. And I'm just like, well, maybe he wasn't taught that way, so that you can come in his life to kind of teach him how to access those emotions and how to be. And I think it's a beautiful thing when a man can actually face up to those emotions and understand how they are, and then invite you to take it on with him. Oh my gosh, that's like shit, that's fucking dope. But yeah, for sure. Are you guys actually, I lost my train of thought, but do you guys have anything to top off out of this?
As far as this whole, as far as connecting with women, and I think that you even notice it with guys connecting with their mothers. You know what I mean? Sometimes, and again, it's something that you grow up to, but sometimes I think not having a dad for some people could be the big reason why they don't show vulnerability to other guys.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Or maybe being raised,
or the lack of their presence for even just time being.
A lack of their presence, or even the lack of emotion from a father to a son.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Understanding that, or knowing that that's okay, because like often they dismissed it. But we're gonna take a quick little break. All right, guys, we're back, and I was just following up on Jerry's comment that he mentioned, some people don't have that father figure. For me, it's not that my dad wasn't there for the first 7 years. When I was born, he had the opportunity to basically live out here in America, and he solidified the foundation for me and my family now, which I'm grateful for. Yeah. However, at that time, being just there once a year at Philippines with my mom and my sister, I never really took the time to understand that I didn't knew what it took to be a man. And I was often questioning that. So when I learned from, especially growing up with my mom's sister, my aunts, right, mostly women, I learned those qualities, and that's how I communicated with the world. So then seeing how other men operated, I questioned, is this the wrong way to go about it? And I always kind of judged myself. So then I was often reflecting and trying to understand what it does take to be a man, even though I didn't know that until recently. Wow. So that's kind of thing that I wanted to share upon.
Yeah, I can relate to that. My dad was never in my life. Right. I don't think I necessarily questioned how to be a man. However, I felt like I was, and even to this day, still searching for something that's just not there. And maybe not necessarily from him, but just the relationship with guys and brother or something.
Absolutely.
The reason for the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so
that's
I feel like
that's
that's the reason why I try to be vulnerable or be there, or want to be able to bring light to this particular subject and be able to help other people, is because I didn't have that growing up.
Exactly.
So, and I know agree. There's so many people, like I had shared with you guys before, that like when you see award shows and these guys go up on stage, they never thank their father, because 9 times out of 10 their father is never in their life. They thank their mother, they thank God, and they thank their friends, but they don't thank their father. And there's a reason.
Never
for that.
noticed that.
Pay attention.
Oh, okay. I'll pay attention more. But yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing that, Terrell. But we had a question. I think now that we've kind of touched on this, and it's dope that we're actually being able to bring this into content. But this is something I actually wanted to be able to talk about. That's why I was like so excited to have you guys to talk about. I didn't even know what exactly it was, but I knew it was that direction. I just had a hunch. That's what I wanted to bring to this podcast as well. But now that we've kind of talked about this, the intimacy, what Brotherhood's kind of missing, and what maybe might be missing from men nowadays, and why they're unable to express vulnerability for other people, now as we grow up, we get busy. We get married, we got family, we have jobs, careers, side hustles, whatever it is you're doing, and it gets harder to be there or ask for support from somebody. Or I would say it's more harder to actually establish support for other people. How do you guys go about like the whole follow-up process?
The follow-up process, as far as me following up on somebody, I know I come to the reality is this: as much as I want to help everybody, I can't help everybody.
Nice, that's a good foundation.
Wisdom will tell you can help somebody, and it's very practical. So what you do is I used to choose group of people that I could say, you know what, I can really dedicate my time to texting them, saying, hey, how you doing, sending them something, whether it's on Instagram or whether it's through text, and making myself available. You open that door up, at least showing that that door is open
that door. Nice.
People have access to it. People have access to you. I think that accessibility is very important. For me, I try to make it very clear, like, hey, I am accessible for you. You know what I mean?
Okay, I respect that. I didn't notice that I kind of do the same thing. I allow people. I didn't know that I do that intentionally. I think it was just something that I create because I just have deep compassion for people when it comes down to it.
Awesome.
And I just like, hey, if there's something I can do, you can always reach out to me, even though I know I'll probably be busy, but I'll still try to get around them to make sure that I can find a way to support them.
I think for me it's a little different. Like if I initially know that you're going through something and I was there for you initially, for me I feel that it's my duty to make sure that you're okay, because like you may not have shared that with anybody else.
It's good.
So if you didn't share that with anybody else, and I'm supposed to be the person that, I'm not supposed to, but I'm the person that, you trusted enough,
Right,
and then
right.
I don't hit you back up, then what good am I?
That I like that.
And a
'cause,
lot of people, sad to say, like they kill themselves over stuff like this because they
Yeah.
feel like they don't have anybody.
that's exactly what we're trying to prevent.
And
like,
if it was so hard for them to go to you the first time, they may not go to you the second time. So that's why you need to follow up.
absolutely.
You have to hold yourself accountable for sure. You know what I mean? And I know we're human, and sometimes life gets busy, as you said.
Absolutely.
And that's why you brought up this topic, which is really good. But you do, in a sense, have to hold yourself accountable, especially when you come to the understanding that you're responsible for people. You're human. You're going to make mistakes.
Exactly.
You're not going to answer every call. You're not going to get back to every text message. But if you have the understanding that I am holding myself accountable to this person's life because they need me,
Right.
then you have to do your very best to get back to them, or to intentionally make some room for
Make
them.
some time, man,
Yeah.
to get back to it. And I feel the same way. I know that I am just one person who can't support everyone that comes into my life who asks for support. However, I make it kind of like a duty, like you mentioned, and the responsibility to do whatever I can when time comes. When they're in need of help, and get back in that text and hey, you text me a couple of hours ago. Is everything okay? How's everything been? And just catching up and then see where they take it from there.
Yeah, and then sometimes you gotta ask people too, like, "Oh, how you doing?"
Yeah,
like I'm
that's
good.
true.
I'm
Like,
good.
how you really doing?
Are you?
And then you gotta follow up. No, I'm serious. Like, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Because if you go see somebody, I'm like, "Oh, they ain't seen you in a while. How you doing?"
Yeah.
They're just gonna say, "Oh, I'm good." Because it's just
Yeah.
so cliche. That's just what
It
everybody
is.
says. But like,
It's just a way. It's just a way to relate and acknowledge it, but
Yeah.
like it's a way to be formal, but not really a
and
way.
get so deep. And I've
Yeah.
I've had done it before. Like when I
Yeah, that's
asked
true.
somebody, I'm like, "Oh, how you doing, Kevin?" And he was like, "Actually, I'm not doing good at all." And I was caught off guard.
Whoa,
Like,
whoa, hold on, I wasn't ready for this.
Yeah, I didn't expect this to go this way. Like,
yeah.
but nobody ever does that, so you don't
Exactly.
expect somebody to say like, "Oh, I'm not
Exactly.
doing good."
What's funny because when people ask me, "Hey, how you doing, Charles?" I'm like, I've been better, and then I'll articulate. I'm like, okay, well, thanks for asking. Now I'm gonna use this time to take it. I don't know if that's kind of selfish, but like,
Not at all.
if people ask for it, I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna share with you what I'm going through and how I'm taking it on, and if they can support me, then shit.
And that
so
even
be it.
shows somebody else to be vulnerable in that
Exactly.
moment, like
And then even then, for anybody just watching, this
Yeah.
is just a way of being vulnerable. Just
Oh,
saying,
yeah, man.
hey, I'm not okay. Like understanding that you are not okay is a step forward to progression.
Big
Exactly.
time. You gotta
know?
identify it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to identify it. If not, it's always gonna be in the dark.
Exactly. It's just gonna be stuck in there, and like I said, it's just gonna build up that whole emotional constipation.
Yeah, exactly. A little vision for what we're talking about here, since we have people listening too.
Nice.
Is, imagine this: how much the game would change if we actually developed a culture of accountability like that to somebody.
Absolutely.
Where now I'm not just helping you, but because I've helped you and you see what my intentions are in doing so, you do that for others as well.
It's like that space. It's like redefining what that brotherhood is,
Yeah,
or not just
exactly.
brotherhood, but for any type of relationship you might have,
Yeah.
right?
Any relationship.
I feel like
Oh,
a
that'd
lot
be
of
powerful,
times-
by
Yeah.
the way.
I feel like a lot of times too, in regards to brotherhood, that the mistake that we make is, we're there for somebody else, but when it's our time to need somebody and that person's not there for us,
And it sucks.
it does suck. But then we have a hard heart towards that person,
Oh, I see what you're
and
saying.
then their relationship
Diminishes
dwindles out because
right?
of that.
I think it's coming from me. Like, I know sometimes people will get busy or whatever happens for their life, or they decide to be resentful or disconnect with me.
Yeah.
I try to operate from being compassionate without expecting anything in return.
Expectations ruin
That
relationships.
exactly. Expectations is such a my
I
gosh.
mean, granted, we all expect something. I
True.
had to tell somebody, one friend before, like, you expect this of me, and they're like, I don't expect anything of you. And I was like, if I didn't do this anymore, would you be surprised? They were like, well, yeah, that means that you expect me to do
Nice.
that.
Call them out right on the spot.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, well, that's good. Now that I think articulated on that, I think that's a good framework to kind of understand what might be missing, within friendships in general.
Yeah.
No strings attached.
Yeah,
No strings attached.
I think just seeking brotherhood. Like, for instance, when I met him, like, I felt like I definitely seeked out the relationship. And kid you not, I remember we're at work and he said hi to me a couple times. I'm like, why the hell does he keep saying hi to me? You know,
I'm just a friendly guy, bro.
I didn't know that though, like, you know. And I swear, I woke up one morning.
That's true. I got that first impression.
I woke up one morning and I remember telling Gladys, and I was like, I feel like him and I are supposed to be friends. Like, God put it on my heart, not knowing.
How long
at the
ago?
time. This is
it's going on 2 years.
Yeah,
2 years. Oh shit.
Not knowing at the time that he was like super into the church.
Yeah.
And my thing was God told me that we were supposed to be friends.
Yeah,
that's dope.
Yeah, so when I mean seeking out, like I literally went through our job looking for him.
and you know what, you know, also to tap on that space right there, you know, I think, you know, and I know this is gonna sound so contrary to who I am, but because we're talking about the church, you know, for me personally, the type of person I am, it's not so much just because of the church, but it's just because I'm so into people. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm so into people. So I do want to share this. Is for those of you that are listening or that are watching that perhaps maybe you don't have a faith. You don't have a faith, and that's completely fine. You know, you could be totally for people though.
True.
You know? And so I believe that it creates a safe place. Like I said, a safe space for whether you're journeying on faith or whether you have no faith in anything at all, you could still have a heart for people.
It's true.
I mean,
and I think that's a natural tendency, and I think of people who say that they've lost trust for people or humanity, it's just people that haven't actually faced what they're struggling with, the past conflicts or traumas.
And I think a lot of times too, like when we see somebody that's struggling with something and we don't feel that it's that worthy for you to be crying over because I went through something harder.
Yeah.
But like, you went through something harder, yes, but because you're able to go through something harder. Maybe this is what they're able to go through, and they couldn't go through.
You can't
anything
quantify
exactly
not at
conflict
all,
at all.
I feel like a lot of times we weigh people on our scales when you're not supposed to do that. You got to weigh them on their own.
Yeah,
scales.
exactly. Oh, I love that. Especially Coach Terrell over here. You can't anyways, but we're actually gonna wrap it up. Do you guys have anything you want to add on? I know you guys are working on a few projects. Why don't you guys tell us about that? I mean, for anybody listening, anybody want to listen to your journey.
So at our job, and I want to be able to bring this to the world, but at our job, we have this wellness program. We work at Alert Communications.
Okay.
If anybody wants a job that lives in the Ventura County area,
shout out.
Say us because we get money when we
come.
No, I'm playing. We do, but
easy money.
But no, it's good money. They pay good. But anyways, at our job, they really take care of us, and they have this wellness program where it has like health, financial stability, and like yoga, just so you can be,
They also pay for a gym membership, because I know a few people go to the gym working on 24-hour fitness.
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, you already have. Oh, I got it. I got it. My job.
They don't pay for the whole thing. They give you a good discount.
Still better than something.
$24.
Yeah, keep you going, and that's a pretty good company. Shout out Alert.
Yeah, but so anyways, I was like, well, I'm a life coach. I should be able to contribute something to this, So I created this program, and Jerry's gonna help me with it.
Yes.
Where we can be able to give back to people that actually need help in leading to their freedom and being able to open up, be vulnerable, and I feel like it's going to be a good thing, and I want to be able to then eventually bring it out to the world.
Okay.
Yep.
What's that process looking like right now?
So right now,
I want to see how I can help
as well.
It's
kind of like what would you say, like a... I can't think of the word. I be having brain farts. It's kind of like a workshop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a workshop.
Nice.
So you go into it, and we basically, I don't want to say train, but teach you something that you can apply to your life.
Right.
And then from there, the next class, you'll learn something else. So it starts off with like building up boundaries. A lot of people don't have boundaries. So when people do something to them, then they feel hurt, they feel whatever the case is, because you don't have those boundaries laid up. And then there's like a 4-step module of how when people cross the line, what you should do.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. You just actually gave me a really good idea for this series. And if you're open to it, we could do a little bit of collaboration where we could build community, and then you can facilitate, and all I'm doing is document what can be documented, and maybe we can.
Yeah, I'm so down. Totally.
You down?
Sweet.
Together.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna talk a little bit about it. I think we can just find like spaces and time and date, because it might be good for either one of the series we might have, or maybe this month. Depends on the urgency when it comes down to it.
Yeah, one of the things is because we're obviously we're people. We're people persons. People persons. But because we know so many people at work, and some people have given us access to their lives and what have you.
Right.
And then some people we talk on a surface level, and we could just see it. We really believe that I believe if you're doing good personally, you're gonna do good at work. And so it's like a win-win situation.
That's something I was taught with my mentors. It's like how you do anything is how you do everything. It's like there's 4 foundations that you're filled with. It's like your body, your being, balance, and your business. Basically, your relationships, your overall well-being, and also like your finances and all that. And if you're doing really bad in one thing, it's like everything else starts to affect, because we're not like 1 or 2 dimensional people. That's what I've been taught. We're actually 4 dimensional, maybe more. That we operate on these aspects of our life and how we create, how we operate, which is interesting. But okay, thanks for sharing that, Jerry. Terrell, sorry, Jerry. I was gonna say, Jerry, what do you got going on?
Yeah, so
I didn't mistake your name, just so you know.
My main focus is just our young adult group. I mean, recreationally, I'm training right now. I fought for about 6 years competing boxing. Okay. So I mean, it's I'm on the fence right now whether or not I want to start competing again. But besides that, I mean, for me, I'm like you, man. Fitness is is key, man. Fitness is life, bro. It makes you feel good, bro. It makes you feel good. So that's what I do. Besides that, again, if it's not in the young adult group, it's just in life. I love connecting to people, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Building that platform.
Yeah.
Okay. For anybody listening, any last words you guys want to say?
Yeah, I also am a creative director, so if you need some work or some help with something, follow me.
I mean, look at his swag.
Look at the swag.
Swag.
Who says that word? Well, I don't even say that. I intentionally said that because nobody says it anymore. It's so
I know,
bringing it back.
Yeah.
But you can follow me on social media. That's TerrellGarnett, GARNETT.
There we go.
See, I know how to say my name. Or spell it, I should say.
I just didn't want to spell Gary. I don't know how I would spell it, but maybe it was just me choking up. I'm not sure. I would like to share just, I want to say thank you for, having us. And then also want to say, for those of you that are listening, I really want to just encourage you, if you've been hurt by somebody, or you've had a couple failed friendships or relationships, that it's not over. Sometimes failure is a learning block. Failure is a learning lesson. It's going to make you stronger. But I want to encourage you just to be the best version of yourself, and continue to shed light on people, because what you go through has complete intention. I don't believe anything's wasted that you go through in life.
Right. And can I just piggyback on that, chime in? And I think as humans, our purpose is to pass on. Yeah. I think we're not meant to be alone.
No,
I think we're always going to be connected, and I like that you spreading that message to continue that. I like that pay it forward mentality.
Yeah, big time. We have to, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Before I let you go,
no,
I do want to say that I feel like we need to pay attention to patterns that we also do.
True. Accountability.
Accountability for yourself. Pay attention to the things. More so recently, I was going through something,
right,
and I'm like, why do I feel like this? And I happened to read one of my blogs, and I'm like, I felt like this 2 years ago. So if I don't have any of the same people in my life anymore, and I've changed all these different things, I'm still attracting things that
feel the same way.
So I need to make a change.
Exactly. Love it.
So if you're not happy in whatever relationship, whether it be with friends or whatever, it's okay to walk away. I know we're talking about earlier being unconditional, but if it's not serving you any purpose and it's not serving you any purpose, then it is okay to walk away.
Wow.
And that doesn't mean that you don't love them no more.
Yeah, exactly.
You could still love them.
I've done that too,
but from a distance.
I've had a hard time doing that as well for myself, because sometimes I'm so giving and accommodating to the point where I allow people to step all over me.
Exactly. It's self-love.
Yeah.
You've been
That's-
having,
You've been having dreams about being stepped over?
No, not stepped over intentionally. I think just
get it.
dreams where I feel like people are trying to dominate whatever I'm doing,
Yeah.
and I had to put my foot on the ground and be like,
It
no,
means something, though.
fuck
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, that means something, bro.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, okay. I just wanted to give a little teaser for my
Sure.
Instagram.
Yeah, dude.
It's gonna be
you promote yourself.
It's gonna be I'm gonna ask, hey guys, what does it mean? What does okay, I don't know what to say. Something like a little teaser, like, hey guys, we just talked about what that means for Brotherhood, and I'm gonna flip the camera to you guys and be like, you guys can say something or stay tuned or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did that make sense?
Not at all. I'm not even gonna lie
Thanks
to
for
you.
being clear. No, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just say, hey guys,
Are you recording on your thing?
yeah.
Oh, okay, so you're
And
being
story.
like, oh, okay, I get you. Oh, okay, I
Okay,
got you.
and then you guys are like, oh, stay tuned. Right?
Yeah, I got you, I got
for
you.
my Instagram post. Hey guys, just finished recording with Terrell and Jerry to talk about what it means for Brotherhood, right, guys?
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
There
It's
we
coming.
go. There we go. Stay tuned, guys. All right, cool. Thanks for being on, guys, and
Thank you.
for everybody
Appreciate
listening.
it.
Thanks for coming in. See you guys in the next episode.